Dynasty Warriors, the one game where one person can dominate an entire battlefield. A game where strategy can loom and rule over any form of strength. And with Koei Tecmo's latest entry into the series, that still seems to be the case. The anticipation for this game has been building up for months. The hype, readiness, everybody raring to go for something that is supposedly better than its predecessor 9. I'm the Dandelion, and today's thoughts are on Dynasty Warriors 9 Empires. The Empires brand of Dynasty Warriors is a spin-off of the core series itself. Empires is a blend of Dynasty Warriors-like action and the strategical and tactical elements of the Romance of the Three Kingdoms games. Empires has never required the original game disc to access all of its features like Extreme Legends, as the game was unique enough to stand out on its own. The first one was released in 2004 for Dynasty Warriors 4 on the PlayStation 2, and ever since then we usually get a mainline title followed by an Extreme Legends title and completed with an Empires title, save for Dynasty Warriors 6 and 9. Dynasty Warriors 9 Empires allows you, the player, to make your own destiny. That's the great thing about the Empires game. Its story is your story in a way. You make the rules, you go about them. You don't like Sun Jian? Execute him. You want to go and invade Cao Cao for no reason? Do it. You want to rule a peaceful kingdom and keep invaders out? Give it a shot. 9 Empires brings back the usual basics of the Empire games, along with some new features, keeping with Dynasty Warrior 9's core combat system, the Flow system, and brings back the open world, which is now labeled as the Stroll system. This allows players to roam freely in an open setting while interacting with other officers and occasionally dealing with some of the wildlife and bandits. You can even have someone accompany you also if you decide to go on a little hunt. Battles done previously in Dynasty Warrior 9's open world are now in separate section areas. Instead of traversing the map like you did before from battlefield to battlefield, you can now choose to invade or defend an area that you are in or next to, and you are taken there in an instant. The battlefields are contained within a fog-like wall and have you capture or defend a castle. In short, siege battles, basically. Other features returning from past Empires games are trading, training, betrayal, management of your rations, diplomatic policies such as banquets or interacting with other officers. You can even choose to be a vagabond, if you feel like going about your own, just living life. You can be an officer for another ruler, work for them, work your way up the ranks, become their general, or you take command and you be the ruler. Rule over the land however you see fit. Empires allows you to do it all. As you go about accomplishing goals and gaining some notoriety, more actions become unlocked. Using these, you can better manage your territory, and let me tell you, the more officers and supplies you have through these actions, the better. 9 Empires sports a different spin on its triangle system as well. This time, instead of man versus heaven versus earth, we get infantry versus cavalry versus archers. Infantry is greater than the cavalry, while cavalry will always top the archers, but the archers can come back and take out the infantry. This adds a nice layer of difficulty to the game and can push you to the edge if you're not careful, as being the wrong unit can greatly cost you in battle. However, fear not. If you are up against a unit that is stronger and greater than your type, just run to the nearest guy with the unit better than theirs, press up on your D-pad, and you're good to go. You can come back and you can show them who the real boss is. Create a Warrior is back and is done better than ever. We're looking at a complete overhaul of the original system, modeled after Neo 2, another game made by Koei Tecmo. We can now go into depth, very good depth when creating our characters. From eyes to nose, mouth to forehead. You can make them any way you wish. We even can choose base, bangs, and backs of our hair. The outfit design too has gotten a lot better because now we have layered options. We can layer clothing on top of stuff. You have your clothing, your armor, and whatever you choose from that point on. Now the best part is you can choose what to wear during the stroll mode. So much like how a lot of the other warriors can go in different attires when they're strolling around versus battle, so can we. This has opened up quite a few doors in the terms of creation for what we can do with these characters now. Dynasty Warriors 9 Empires is really lackluster compared to its predecessors. Starting with the create a character function, it is really lacking in some areas. We no longer have the option to pick our different build types, nor can we really make the builds ourselves. Characters you want to be top heavy buff can't really be that way. The most you can do is just alter how wide their body is. We're also lacking in the clothing department as well, with only a few outfits to choose from compared to previous games which gave us way more outfits. That's not including the DLC ones also. We can no longer select our own Muso attacks either. In the previous games, Dynasty Warriors 7 Empires and 8 Empires, you could choose from 2 to 3 different Muso attacks from your character, regardless of the weapons that they had. This opened up the door to a lot of creative liberties you could take with your character. Unfortunately, now they've taken that out, which seems very limiting compared to what we've gotten before and with the new overhaul they've given the Create a Warrior system. Free mode is missing from the game also. Now this isn't really a deal breaker, more or less, it's more of a nitpick, as the Conquest mode usually tends to be pretty beefy, but 8 Empires did bring it back. Now this was a mode that went missing in 6 and 7 Empires. If you wanted to just make a character and jump in and do battles, having free mode there was nice. We were actually able to do little mini scenarios and other little raid things within the mode. So seeing it come back as an add-on DLC would be nice, but it's not really that much of a deal breaker. I'm good with what I got, more or less. Now the battles are another story. There's not really much to them, as it's just straight up siege battles on the same identical map to identical map. Now at the very least, we had different maps in the other games. Some have a main castle in it, some didn't have a main castle in it. The only real change you get in these maps is maybe Nanjong, where you can run inside a little sharping arcade, but that's about it. Everything else still pretty much looks the same. Map in the middle of the stage, small bases around it. The triangle system in the game is kinda whack too. And the reason it's kind of whack isn't because the actual triangle system itself, it's actually the other units you unlock. They make it null and void, as you can basically run up and take down any unit. Oh, you're tired of the cavalry, infantry, or the archers dealing with you? Run up as a bandit, or an armored troop, or a lasso trooper, where you can capture them real easily. The symbols are no longer red, they're all just the pink color, where you can run up and give them a fair, even fight. I feel stroll mode is the biggest waste of time though. Its only use is for interacting with officers and going around killing certain wildlife and bandits. You don't even really need it for that either. A lot of the supplies you can get from the supply option or trade, the same goes with money, and you could win those too in battles or just by raising your agriculture level. Now they could have fixed it to where you got certain supplies and items from that mode, and that could have been fed into making other armor or weapons, but unfortunately, no, they opted out of it. The mode is completely optional, and there's not really much use to it in my eyes. I rarely use it myself, and I've just about gotten most of everything in the game. Weapons this go round are also locked behind these items called artifacts. Unlike previous games where you would raise your character to a specific level, or your blacksmith to a specific level, or your nation to a specific level, or collecting supplies to make said weapons or items, in this case all you have to do is acquire artifacts, which can be found on the battlefield or through raising your affinity with other officers. They will sometimes give you gems or these artifacts. You get gold, uncommon, rare, and common. Get those, fill up their levels, and boom, you've got all the weapons you need right there. Graphically, the game is very inconsistent. In some areas the game looks great, and others it just looks plain bad. The draw distance, for example, in stroll mode is so bad that at a distance it looks like a PlayStation 1 game, and that's terrible. The edges of characters in some areas don't look as smooth as they should be. They look jagged and alpha-like, not even rendered all the way. Cutscenes are structured a bit better, however, with some of them having some spectacular cinematography, great camera angles as well. Another little nitpick that I have is a feature that was changed, which was the option to give generals orders on the battlefield. Now we can still give them individual orders, that's fine, but usually you could give them overall orders by pressing up on the D-pad for attacking, down on the D-pad to tell them to defend. Right, I believe, was to get them to guard you specifically, and left would tell them to do whatever they want. That really came in handy in a lot of battles, especially when it came down to the wire and you were losing. You could put everybody in defense mode and try to make a comeback. Not too big of a problem, as you can still do that now, but you have to go from officer to officer to initiate the command instead of just giving it to them all in a general prompt setting. The community's divided on Dynasty Warriors 9. So many wanted it to be good while others are content with it. There were people who wanted it to do what Six Empires did and make the game more enjoyable than the mainline title that it came out for. Unfortunately, that was not the case. The stroll mode is mostly useless unless you want to take some photos the entire time. Visually, the game is not very stunning, and the action is a little less than good compared to the previous titles. Character creation was improved a lot, but the lack of armors and other features was kind of a letdown. The sad part is most of it is going to be DLC more than likely. Dynasty Warriors 9 gets a 2.5 out of 5. I would only recommend this game to you if you're a true fan of the series for the most part. And that's about it. I think I'll still play it every so often from time to time. It's the latest release and I can still find some fun in there. Alright everyone, so what did you think of Dynasty Warriors 9 Empires? Would you recommend it to a friend? How many photos did you take in stroll mode? Will soon say ever get his tonfas back? Let's get the conversation started down in the comments below. And I'd like to thank you all for making it this far into the video. This is the Dandelion, signing off.